Watch how a person handles boredom. Anyone can be charming when they're entertained, when they're receiving attention, when life is full of excitement. But what happens when the thrill fades, when calmness arrives? Does this person create an inner world in harmony, or do they stir up chaos just to feel alive, to sense any kind of vibration at all? It's in these moments that true nature is revealed. A personality that needs drama to feel complete will inevitably destroy your future the very moment real. Life demands patience, focus, or self-control. Creation requires someone who can dwell in peace, not someone who will burn your kingdom to the ground simply because they were a little bored. Machiavelli, though he spoke of state affairs, understood this human trait perfectly. Boredom, for an undisciplined soul, is fertile ground for intrigue and destruction, as he would surely point out. Think of how many relationships and even careers have collapsed because one party couldn't handle calm waters. I knew an artist, incredibly talented, whose muse was tied to the emotional roller coasters his partner created. When she was calm, he thrived, but boredom would quickly creep in, and she would provoke storms that left him shattered for weeks. His potential never fully bloomed, drowned in those man-made tempests, a tragic illustration of Machiavelli's warning about choosing an undisciplined companion. But how do you tell the difference between strength of character and stubbornness, between healthy boundaries and emotional deafness? What if the person beside you masks manipulation as care, and the hunger for drama as vibrant individuality? Then comes the lie society insists on, that your partner's past doesn't matter, and if it bothers you, it's only because you're insecure. Niccolo Machiavelli, a master of reading human nature, would surely smirk bitterly at such nonsense. He knew a promise made in the past was a necessity of that moment, and a broken word is the necessity of the present. A person's past is often the blueprint of your shared future. Someone who betrayed others before you is not starting fresh with you, they are refining a practiced method. If their history is a chain of chaos and broken lives, their future with you will not magically transform. Ignoring red flags just because someone smiles at you, often without even realizing their own lies, is dangerous. The ancients said, "The past is prologue," and Machiavelli forged this wisdom into sharp formula. To ignore behavioral patterns vividly expressed in the past is like walking blindfolded through a minefield, hoping for luck. I recall a friend who tied his life to someone with a biography full of sudden breakups and endless accusations against exes. He believed it would be different with him. Sadly, he only joined the list of those who learned Machiavelli's lesson the hard way: methods don't change. Only the scenery and actors do. And here is another iron law. Never link your legacy, your great mission, with someone who mocks your purpose. A person with vision, and anyone striving for greatness must have it, doesn't build alliances on passion alone. He seeks a comrade in spirit, someone who shares or at least respects his mission deeply. If your partner dismisses your discipline, rolls their eyes at your ambition, loves attention but laughs at your life's work, this is no ally. This is a hidden saboteur. The one who cannot endure peace will crave upheaval, and if there is none, they will create it themselves. When the applause fades, when external stimulation dries up, when life becomes steady, such a person grows restless. And this restlessness is not harmless. It's often the seed of betrayal, drama, and sabotage, cleverly disguised as emotional spontaneity. Machiavelli would call it exactly what it is: an undisciplined soul, dangerous to anyone with a mission. If you overlook this trait, destruction won't be loud. It will come quietly, through passive doubt, through emotional withdrawal just when you're most focused on your work, through silent resentment when you refuse to indulge their chaos. Machiavelli exposes the core truth. Someone who doesn't respect or share your mission will, consciously or not, undermine it. It's like trying to build a ship with someone who keeps drilling holes in the hull, insisting it's more fun that way, or that the plank was rotten anyway. I've seen it countless times. An ambitious project derailed, not by outside forces, but by the resistance of the closest companion. This is the slow strangling of potential, and Machiavelli warns us of this hidden enemy, more dangerous than any external foe. But how do you distinguish constructive criticism from veiled sabotage? And is asking for complete respect of your mission really selfish? Or is it the very foundation of success and harmony in Machiavelli's eyes? And again, the past. Society will insist the past doesn't matter, but this is merely a trick to keep you blind. A person who flits from one relationship to another often craves not depth, but the intoxicating rush of novelty. One who has repeatedly betrayed others doesn't need your healing love. They need accountability for their actions. You are not a savior, not a magical second chance that will change everything. If you don't draw clear lines, you risk becoming just another chapter in their already written script. Because the one who mocks your mission today will tomorrow take pleasure in your downfall, perhaps even framing it as your growth or necessary experience. Machiavelli would agree fully with this merciless analysis. He knew better than anyone. People act according to ingrained habits and character, not noble impulses, unless those impulses are backed by iron discipline. To play the savior for someone with destructive patterns is like trying to fill a sieve with water. I personally know many stories of noble rescuers who ended up drained and broken, while the rescued simply moved on to the next source of resources unchanged at their core. This is not cynicism. It's a sober realism Machiavelli prized above sentimental illusions. Here's the truth few want to hear, but every strong person must follow. If someone is not afraid to lose you, they will never truly value you. A person convinced you'll always be there, no matter what they do, no matter how many values they stop contributing to the relationship, will eventually despise you. Why? Because what comes for free, without effort to keep, inevitably loses its value. Machiavelli was firm. People must either be treated kindly or utterly crushed. There is no middle ground. Harsh, yes, but it reflects a real truth about human nature in the realm of power and influence. If your partner feels no risk of losing you, they will seek to control you. If that risk exists, they will strive to rise to your level, to meet your standards. This isn't about playing games. It's about maintaining healthy boundaries. A person willing to walk away when their values are trampled always holds the power, and no one respects the one who trades that power for the dubious comfort of submission. Stop rewarding disrespect with even more attention. Stop begging for loyalty with desperate acts. Stop bending your back just to avoid loneliness. Machiavelli did not write for the soft-hearted. He wrote for those who seek to rule their lives. A ruler doesn't explain his worth, he demonstrates and protects it. He tests those around him against his standards instead of blindly following his feelings. This is one of Machiavelli's most powerful and perhaps most controversial lessons, but within it lies a deep psychological truth. Value is often defined by the willingness to lose. When I first started my path, I made endless compromises, terrified of ruining relationships, afraid of being left alone in my pursuits. The result? No one took me seriously. Machiavelli would have said I myself devalued my currency. Only when I learned to say no, to walk away when my core principles were violated, did I begin to earn true respect. It's not about being threatening. It's about having self-respect so strong that others sense it and are forced to respect you in turn. But where's the line between healthy fear of loss, which fuels growth, and toxic dependence or control? And how do you cultivate the readiness to walk away without turning into a cold, calculating player, devoid of empathy, as Machiavelli is sometimes portrayed by the uninitiated? And this brings us to the next vital commandment. Choose the person whose presence strengthens your discipline, not weakens it. A destructive partner will tempt you to skip an important meeting for momentary pleasure, mock your boundaries, and call your ambitions excessive or unnecessary, all with a charming smile. He may even call it love or caring for your rest, but in essence, it is a betrayal of your potential. Because the truth is, a constructive partner, someone who is truly useful for your growth, does not beg you to remain soft and convenient. He or she challenges you to stay composed, sharp, and true to yourself. A person who is not afraid of losing you will never truly value what they have. They may claim they love you, may even sincerely believe it, but without that underlying tension, that awareness that you are sovereign and can walk away at any moment if your values are violated, he or she will begin to slide into complacency. Or, worse, into a quiet but corrosive contempt. That is why people instinctively test each other's boundaries. It is not about cruelty, but about seeking confirmation. They want to know, is this a real person with a solid core, or just a facade, a mask of strength meant to keep someone around? If you falter under pressure, it will be noticed. If you break, you will be controlled. A person who cannot afford to leave a destructive relationship cannot lead their life toward success. And Niccolo Machiavelli understood this centuries ago, long before modern psychology gave names to these phenomena. Respect, as he taught, is often rooted in the awareness of consequences, not in fear of violence, but in fear of your absence, in the recognition of the value of what could be lost. And this awareness keeps the other person grounded in reality, not in a world of illusions and permissiveness. So while others advise you to open up and be vulnerable without discernment, Machiavelli would more likely advise you to sharpen your edges, to fortify your inner fortress. Because if someone can remain in your life while systematically disrespecting your values, you are not the ruler of your destiny. You are, sadly, playing the role of the court jester. And history, as we know, is full of examples of those who loved too softly, too indiscriminately, and ultimately lost everything. The final chord of Machiavelli resonates here with particular force. To sharpen your edges is not about aggression. It is about self-discipline, about a clear understanding of your yes and your no. It is about being a person whose respect must be earned, not granted by default. How many times have I seen people seeking unconditional love, only to receive unconditional contempt in return? Machiavelli would explain it simply. That which has no price and requires no effort to preserve will not be valued. Because unconditionality without boundaries and values quickly turns into permissiveness for one and slavery for the other. Machiavelli calls on us to be architects of our own lives, not passive observers. and the choice of a partner may be the most important stone in the foundation of that building. If that stone is rotten, the whole structure will collapse, no matter how beautiful it seemed at the beginning. Now let us turn our gaze to the one who already feels trapped, the person who hears these words and bitterly thinks, "Too late. The wrong choice has already been made." No, it is not too late, but it will have its price. It will cost comfort, perhaps pride. It may cost money or years that can never be regained. But you must ask yourself, what is more expensive, leaving now or slowly withering away for the next 20 years? Because make no mistake, the wrong person beside you will drain you to the core, and when the vessel is empty, he or she will leave anyway. Not because evil lives within them, but because nature itself has no sympathy for those who refuse to steer themselves, who betray their inner essence. Niccolo Machiavelli knew people respect what they fear to lose. And if a close person does not fear losing another, it is often because they were taught not to. By endless patience, by forgiveness without consequences, by the willingness to tolerate the intolerable. Today, this can and must come to an end.